If you are not using buses in your productions, you are one, wasting time, and two, putting way more strain on your computer than is necessary. What's up, you guys? Nathan Larsen here with another video for those of you guys who make music at home. Whether you're a composer, producer, artist, songwriter, if you write and record your own music at home, this is the channel for you. And listen, if that sounds anything like you at all, you should subscribe to the channel right now, because I promise you're gonna find a lot of value on this channel. And you have nothing to lose. If you don't like the videos in a month, just unsubscribe. And once again, I asked you guys in the community post which video you would like to see. Asked you guys for 3 different video topics. You guys overwhelmingly voted to see a video on buses and how and why to use buses. So again, another perk of being a subscriber, you get to vote on what videos I make. So come on, like, what's not to love? So in this video, I'm going to be explaining how to use buses in production, and not just how, but why you should use them, and hopefully clear out the air, because this is something that I think a lot of newer producers really struggle with comprehending and understanding, and hopefully I can explain this in a very easy to digest way. So one, make sure you watch this entire video, because if you only watch a little bit of the video and click off, you're not really going to get a whole lot of value from that. So stick with me to the end. I promise that this whole video is going to be relevant for you. So let's go ahead and jump right into Logic. Okay, so what I have here is a session. I'm probably going to play a little bit at some point here for you, but basically what we're going to do is I'm going to create a new audio track here, and then I'm going to start from scratch and show you exactly, first of all, what buses are, and then how to use them and why to use them in that whole thing. So let's kind of make this a little bigger here. So we've got audio that we'd be recording in here, right? So let's just solo this out. Hello, this is Nathan Larsen making a video about buses. Okay, so I just recorded some audio, obviously nothing really fancy, but what we are gonna do is, so what I'm gonna do though is show you how to use buses, what they do, in the whole 9 yards. So think about it this way. A bus, if you think about a bus like in a city, it's gonna take you from point A to point Z, where you actually need to get off. But in the middle, there are all these other little stops you're gonna make, right? So think about it that way, that what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this track, right? And we are going to send the audio, this little piece that I recorded here, somewhere else before we get to the final destination, which is the stereo output, or you might hear people say like mix bus, and we'll get into all of that here in a second. So we have 2 different ways we can do this, okay? The first way is through effects bus. So now what an effects bus is gonna be is, think about, we're over here, right? The audio exists over here, the stereo output is over here. Now, right now, in this specific case, we're going from point here, which is just in the track, all the way straight to the output when I play this. Ready? Hello, this is Nathan Larsen. Okay, so that's literally just going from the track straight to the stereo output where you are now hearing it. However, we can insert essentially something in the middle where the audio can go somewhere in between those 2 points. So we've got point A here, the stereo output, and right now we've got a straight line. But what if we kept that straight line there, but we added like a little third spot and then made a triangle? Hopefully that kind of makes sense to you. So we still have that straight line, but we now have this additional little triangle where we're going to stop somewhere else. So in Logic, the way this would work, and you would need to figure this out in each of your own DAWs, we've got our sends here. Now, right now we have no send. So we can send this to a bus, right? And so I'm just going to go ahead and do this to something that's empty. You can do any number of buses. You can see here I've already got, you know, a delay bus, spaces bus, gang vocal, decapitator, a small room. This is really disorganized right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and do bus 12 for simplicity. Now, as of right now, I just sent it to bus 12, but there's nothing going to this bus because right here, it's set to 0. We can take this dial and increase that dial. Now, if we increase that to 0 or unity, like that, then what's going to happen is this audio here is going to basically send the exact same to the bus, right? So basically you're going to get the output going to the stereo output and the exact same 0 sent to the bus as well. So we basically are getting like a copy of both. Now, you can set that to 0, and then notice here in the inspector, you have bus 12 here, and this is empty. But let's go ahead and do this. Let's just go ahead and add a reverb. Let's do one that's not going to take a whole lot of work on my computer. So we'll just do chroma verb. Okay. So now what we're going to do, you can set dry up, but typically you're going to want to have dry set to 0, wet to 100%. We've got a room here. Now watch what happens if I turn this off So in other words, the bus is off, the send is off, and this is just the dry signal. Hello, this is Nathan Larsen. Right? Now, when I turn that bus on, we are now sending basically a duplicate to this bus. But since we have dry turned off here on the reverb, none of that dry signal is going to go through. You're only going to hear the reverb signal. Let's listen to this. Hello, this is Nathan Larsen making a video about... Well, you know, look at that. Now that's pretty extreme, right? But the cool thing is here, now on this auxiliary channel or this bus, we can take this fader down and we can now mix that in appropriately. So let's turn this to 0 and watch this. Hello, this is Nathan Larsen making a video about buses. Boom. Hello, this is Nathan Larsen making... And of course, we can change the room, we can change, you know, whatever. This is just a kind of a lame example that I'm giving you here. But then what we can do is we can actually send another one. We could send another bus. Let's do a different one here. Let's do bus 13. Let's do 0. You can also do your mixing, by the way. You can do it here and have the aux channel set, or the bus basically set to 0 and do your mixing here. Sometimes I do both. I don't know why, but we'll just go ahead and do 0 again to have things with good continuity. The next thing you could do is like a delay, right? So let's do a tape or a stereo delay. That's usually what I like doing. And this is what this would sound like. Hello, this is Nathan Larsen. So obviously that's ridiculous. Let's do a high cut here. Let's get rid of the lows. And then what we can do is, again, mix this in. Hello, this is Nathan Larsen making a video about buses. Okay, so obviously, again, this is like me talking. There's no way you would want delay and reverb on here like this, but this is the example that I'm giving you here to demonstrate the power of this. Now, this is what you would call an effects bus. Basically, we're using it to mix in effects, right? So we're sending the audio. Again, think of this example here. We're going to the stereo output, but then we're basically sending it somewhere else first to be impacted to then add that effect. Now, the benefit of doing this is, let's say that I had, I don't know, 15 tracks of vocals that I want all to have the same reverb, so they sound like they're in the same space, all in the same delay. What you can do is send every single one of those to those buses. So instead of putting the delays and the reverbs on the individual track, if you're doing that, you are putting way more strain on your computer than is necessary, and that's way more work than necessary. Instead, send it to a bus, because we can send every single track to these buses if we so desired. So like, I've got this random track here. I could go to my vocals here. I could go in here and send this to that reverb, and then I could mix that in there as well. And let's say that I don't want as much, then I can make those adjustments right here instead. Does that make sense? I'm going to go here to no sync because I don't want to do that. Okay, so that would be effects buses. And you can do this however many times you want. You could do compression, you could do reverbs, any number of things that you can do to start changing and manipulating things. And then you'll hear people talk about things like parallel compression. The idea is that you're going to send a duplicate to a bus and then compress the snot out of it and then mix that compressed signal in there as well. That's a whole other thing. So that's how you use the effects buses. Now, what I want to show you here, let's go ahead and just take all these off, okay? So what I'm going to show you now is how things can get really fascinating. So notice how when I had this example, you go straight to the output, but then you've got this little detour. Now notice that the detour is down here because there's two happening. There's the dry signal and then the quote unquote wet signal going, right? That's mixed in. But what if instead in this line to the stereo, we actually put the bus in the middle rather than down here. So it's actually, you're sending the actual output to the bus itself and then to the stereo. Stick with me here. Stick with me here. So what you can do is go to the output here, which is automatically going to set to stereo output. Again, this is in Logic, but it works in any DAW, okay? So you're going to want to find where it has your output. And what we can do is change the output to a bus. So we're going to just do a different one. Let's just do like bus 32 to keep things really kind of simple. My output is now the bus. So if I play this, hello, this is Nathan Larsen. It doesn't sound any different, right? Which is, it's not going to. But now the actual signal is being sent to that bus entirely. Like it's not just, here's a duplicate and then we can kind of mix that in. It is actually just going there first. That is the landing point. And then anything we do to this bus is going to now affect everything else that is sent to that bus. Hopefully the distinction makes sense. So the example that we could use for this is, let's say we've got all of our lead vocals. And I think actually on this, yep. So this is my lead vocal here. So here, I'm gonna actually just play this for you a little bit. This is a pretty cool track here. Blossom on a tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new... So this is the arrangement of Feeling Good, cinematic pop, which I will be having a music video for here very soon. Keep an eye out. So in this case, I do not want my email here. Go away. So in this case, you can see here on the lead vocal, I actually have my output set to bus 23, lead vocal bus. And now notice what I have on this bus. I have my SciQ, which is a EQ plugin. And this is going to affect every single thing that gets sent here. And then I have an effects rack plugin put in here. This is from SoundToys. And so on here I have Devil Lock and Decapitator, two just super epic plugins. And then look at here. I actually took the bus and then I sent the bus to an effects bus, two effects buses. So this is where it gets really crazy. So hopefully you can get this. So we've got the track here, the audio on this lead vocal, and it's then going sent to this bus over here, where every single lead vocal that's happening in these different tracks is gonna go whoop, right there in one place, all having the same plugins on here. And then this bus is gonna go to the output here, the stereo output. But now in between, we've got these effects. So we've just increased basically all the different points from point A to point Z, essentially. So all this is just routing things in a different way that is going to ease up the workflow, make things a little easier. So the benefit of doing this is, again, rather than throwing delay and reverb and all this stuff on individual tracks, we can actually send them to a bus where they're going to be impacted, and then everything we send to that is going to be impacted that way. So if you have 3 different or 4 different or however many different vocals or whatever it is, and you want all that to go to one bus and then all that stuff to go to effects buses, you can do that. It's going to save your computer a lot of power, basically, because you're not going to have to run a bajillion plugins. Instead, you can have one plugin that does its one job and everything is sent through it. Hopefully that makes sense. That right there is the how, and that is also the why. This one was really short and simple. So if you haven't already done so, you need to subscribe to the channel because I drop videos every single week, 2 videos every single week, as well as a live stream every single Thursday evening where you guys can just come and hang out with me, ask me questions, and all the 9 yards. So make sure you like the video. If you like the video, that helps me out a ton with the YouTube algorithm and lets everyone else know that this video actually is pretty good. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Would love to hear if you have any questions about this topic. See you in the next one.